Hey Rebel Scum, welcome back to another Gentle Giant Jumbo review. I know it's been a few weeks, but we have some new Jumbos for you to take a look at right now. And as you can see, I've assembled the Council of Lukes behind me because we're going to be taking a look at another new Luke Jumbo today. That, of course, is the Luke Skywalker Red 5. This is not a direct re-release of the Luke Skywalker X-Wing fighter pilot. There's some sort of deviations from the classic Luke here, which we'll go over in a minute. But first, let's take a quick look at the package. As you can see, they changed the pillbox and the background color from blue, which was on the Kenner card, to this yellow. You also see the image changed from the original, which was Luke climbing up a ladder to his X-Wing, and now it's just Luke posing in front of the X-Wing. And they also changed the back of the card. Now they have an image of the squadrons assembling on their way to fight the Death Star. The older releases of these figures kind of mimic the Kenner releases where they had pictures of the figures on the back. So just a little deviation there, but we've seen this with Thrawn, with Mandalorian, more shots from the show. So any of these figures that seem to be deviating from the 99 line have done this. So no surprises there. As I was mentioning, here is the original card that came with Luke X-Wing Pilot when he released a long time ago. I cannot remember when exactly, but you see it more closely mimics that Kenner style with the same color on the pillbox and the background here and the same figure shot. You also notice that it says Kenner on the card as opposed to Gentle Giant on this one here, because these were mimicking the Kenner figures at the time. And then here's that background, or the back of the card I was talking about, with the figure shot mimicking some of the figures at the time that had these little boxes of the characters in different colors here in the background, and also advertising other products that Gentle Giant had at the time, which they still continue to do, but now it's just exclusively focused on Jumbos. So these are just some basic deviations on the packaging, but we're really here to see the figure, so let's open it up and check this guy out. Alright, well, I didn't think you wanted to listen to the loud sloshing of me opening this up through the plastic, so I just skipped that part. But these clamshells, I've shown you a couple times now, they're resealable. They just pop open and click back together. Then, of course, you got your pad, your card back here, which I always love keeping. It doesn't have the punch, but it does have the indentation, so you could punch it if you want, but I prefer to leave it unpunched. So we'll just keep that card back with our others. And then, of course, we have the figure here. And immediately you could tell this is different than the original release because the helmet comes separately. On the Kenner style figure, the helmet was attached with the visor down, this visor is up, and the helmet comes off. So great start to a different Luke figure here. I like using sprue cutters for these just because they're a lot easier than trying to finagle with like an X-Acto knife or something. Less chance for breaking any of these components or scratching them. So they just clip really easy from the side. So we have the standard, the Han Blaster, which, or Rebel Blaster, or whatever you want to call it, Luke had in his original release, and I think it's appropriate for this figure too. We see him using it in Empire Strikes Back when he has it as a sidearm as well. So that kind of fits with the figure and his mythos, so I think that's appropriate. Sort of tricky today. And then we have the figure here. So he's in his costume, and I think this is pretty much the same as the standard Kenner release in terms of the look. Not much deviation in color or design here. Look at it closer. It seems pretty spot on. We have of course, the other one right here. And I don't notice any big difference. All the boxes are the same. And I think it's pretty safe to say this is likely the same mold that they used for these two figures. Potentially, I mean, I don't think they would have gotten rid of it. It looks exactly the same up to the head, so I think it's safe to say that this is likely exactly the same mold as the original. The hands look like a slightly different flesh tone in color. I'll give you a close-up of this, but other than that, very, very similar. Maybe the original Luke has a little bit more detail in the ruffling on the vest than this Luke. But other than that, they're very similar, and that makes sense because it's still Luke X-Wing. But yeah, not much difference there. The helmet actually looks really close to the original. The visor is up, my mistake on that. So yeah, the coloring a little bit different, but still in keeping with a very similar design to the Kenner style helmet at the time. And of course, the face is going to be different. He still has those Luke eyes on this one, where he has a little bit more depth and dimension on this one. I'll show you a close up of the face so you can see what I mean in terms of the indentation of the eyes. And the hair, the other one didn't have hair. This guy has hair. So the hair, I would say, is probably close to that recently released Hero of Yavin Luke. Oh, there goes the lightsaber. Yeah, I could see a very similar mold and the face. So I think this is essentially this body with this head. And that kind of completes your new Luke. And same with these his weapon set. This Luke came with the Rebel Blaster and also blue lightsaber. This guy comes with a Rebel Blaster, and he also comes with a blue lightsaber and a yellow lightsaber. So mixing it up here. I think the blue lightsaber works. Unclear why they included the yellow lightsaber. You just get a little variety. I mean, we know that Luke Bespin came with a yellow lightsaber, but it's weird to see him come with the blue lightsaber. I guess it would have made sense if they made a figure like this during the Empire Strikes Back period and kind of kept the lightsabers the same. He would have had a yellow lightsaber at the time. That's just what they were making. There actually wasn't a blue lightsaber produced in the line with either of these figures. There was one that was made with the Return of the Jedi Jabba Palace Luke, and I think that was a running correction where they made it green afterward, but they decided to include this blue one. It's the same mold as we saw with that one there, with the nice flat top. Deviates a little than the round top from the Kenner mimicking Luke Bespin there. So it's pretty much the same lightsaber, just a different color on the mold. So we'll do a quick test to see how he holds these. It's tough to put him in this looser hand on the left. It just doesn't get a solid grip. And this hand is designed for the pistol. So it's a little tricky. I mean, you can get it in there. You're not going to get a lot of agency out of it. It's just kind of a balancing act. Same with the yellow one. We'll check that out. It should be the same. Yep, just about the same degree. And then we're going to have the blaster here. It's likely going to fit pretty tight, but it's going to fit in this hand here. And here have that blaster similar to this Luke here. We'll just test out the helmet, see how that goes. It's always tough to tell with the helmets. This one is a little more flexible than I've seen the other helmets, so that's a good sign already. But it's going to be, yeah, it's a tight fit. Don't know if it's even, yeah, it does go on. Okay, so there he goes. He looks, once you put the helmet on, he looks almost identical to his counterpart here. So that's pretty cool that they designed a figure with that removable helmet option. But it still kind of gives off the Kenner figure aesthetic without sacrificing any functionality. So that's pretty neat. But as you can see here in the close-ups, he's really mimicking his style from the Kenner figure, just with the difference in the face there a little bit, and that's just owing it to the new head sculpt of Luke from the Hero of Yavin there. But very similar mold, if not the same exact mold, from the original Luke X-Wing pilot figure, which was a very highly coveted figure when this was released. It was just this, after it sold through the secondary market, it went crazy. I remember at one point it was like $300, $400 to get this guy, and they didn't. I don't think they did any re-releases. It would have been great if they did, but yeah, he was a very highly coveted figure, and this one, it just has some slight variations in it. It even has the same date stamp on it that the original mold had, so it's likely the original mold. I feel pretty confident about that. It's just slightly different coloring on it used in the process. But it's great that they made this guy again, just because he was commanding such a premium in the secondary market. So the chance to get this figure again, for those who missed it the first time around, is just really comforting. Luke Pilot is just, it's one of my favorite characters. It's hard to have the vehicles and not have this guy. So it's great to have him in jumbo form, although we don't have a jumbo throwback X-Wing, which would be kind of crazy. But he's just a really cool figure in the line, and getting more variety out of Luke is always great. It's just another guy in the Council of Lukes, as you can see I have. So I appreciate having more Luke in all his forms and glory and variations of those forms. The Council of Lukes has convened, and they approved the addition of the new figure. As you see, I got him holding his helmet here in a pose, which is great. You get a little bit more agency out of this figure with the removable helmet than you did out of the original Kenner style Luke. Kind of impressed with what they're doing, adding these sort of takes on classic figures that deviate from the 99. Really like the addition of the Hero of Yavin Luke, which we never really got in the Kenner line, but this is kind of a great imagining of what that would have looked like. You know, same with the Grand Moff Tarkin, and same with what they're doing with figures from other mediums like the Concept series or the Mandalorian figures. So just, it's a great time to be collecting jumbos because we got a lot coming out. Several more that I'm going to be showing you guys in the next couple of weeks that are just recently released that are also really great, and really excited about the Sand Trooper next year. It was one of my favorite designs of a Stormtrooper that I really regret Kenner never got to. They only got some images of on that original Cantina Adventure playset, but just wish they would have made a figure like that. So that's Luke. He's available right now if you want to pick this guy up. I think he's great, particularly if you missed him the first time around. Like we were saying, this guy commanded a pretty high premium on the secondary market. So it's nice to know that they made a counterpart that is very similar if you just throw on his helmet. But a little bit different if you want some additional accessories included and get a little bit more out of a display factor out of the guy. So pick him up, definitely worth it. Like I said, in the next couple weeks we'll be having more jumbo reviews for you, so you can look at some of the new jumbos and see which one might strike your fancy. So like, subscribe, and follow, as always. And we will see you next time, you Rebel Scum.